You could use
I need good
Now there's audio. Now we have audio.
No, we had audio.
How?
Because I've got the loop up.
I don't know what that means.
The loop from here.
Oh, that comes in as static.
Does it?
Yeah. I mean, you can hear a little bit, but it's mostly static.
Well, that's because you have...
Oh, shit. Okay.
Don't mess with it, and then we don't get audio. And then we record 50 podcasts, and none of them are usable.
No, I won't do that.
Oh, I thought no. Are you taking it off?
I'm pitting.
Take it off.
I can't see that.
You're taking them off. You can take them off, but we might go louder, closer to the mic every 5 minutes. Okay, quit hitting buttons. We're in the middle of recording here. I'm going to have to sit there and monitor this and then cut sections out. That's too much editing. I don't want to do that.
You're good.
That's your problem, not his.
Exactly.
You can chat GPT.
This is a David problem. Just
That's
like
exactly what happens.
I create like shit content and then like throw it at you and like, here, fix it.
My kid loves saying the 8-year-old is always like, not my problem.
That's it.
And then we're like, I'm about to make it your problem. Like, that's his favorite line.
Oh, I give him, my kid said that, I'd give him crazy eyes, and that's enough. Like, I'll go, sorry.
He does it to his clients too. It works out.
Yeah,
I do give him.
He likes to say too, oh, you got roasted. And I'm like, that's not a good way to say you got roasted. You didn't roast me. Like, he just says, you got roasted.
David got roasted too, but that was different.
So there's a phrase, I like my cheese drippy. Okay. And so my daughter, who just started watching YouTube, like heavily monitored YouTube, right? So she has her shows that she likes. It's mostly slime, like putty and slime. Yeah. And this one girl with pink hair that just yaks. I cannot stand her voice. Anyway, she doesn't know Logan Paul. She doesn't know any of these things. Like, she'll watch a Mr. Beast video every so often because it pops up. And so she'll watch him every so often. And she had no idea what the reference was. And so she's telling me, she's like, Dad, I like my cheese drippy. I'm like, you do? No, you don't. You complain whenever I give you melted cheese. What are you talking about? And she's like, it's just a phrase. A phrase from what? And she's like, I don't know. It's a phrase.
What does that mean?
And I go, what are you talking about? She's like, look it up. I'm like, you know what it is? She's like, I don't know. So I look it up, and it's from a commercial that Logan Paul did for his Lunchly. Like, it's a Lunchables knockoff or competitor. And they have a nacho cheese variant, and he's dipping his little chip in the cheese, and he pulls it up, and it starts dripping everywhere. And he's like, I like my cheese drippy. And apparently every kid in school is copying that phrase as though it means anything. And I told her, I'm like, that is the stupidest. There's so many more. There are so many more phrases that are funnier, far funnier to say in school. And I throw them out there. I tell her, I'm like, hey, tell your teacher this. Yeah. And my wife will be like, don't say that to the teacher. And I'm like, she won't know the reference. It'll be fine.
This is a true lesson for the importance of making sure that you know what you're saying before you say it. I have an employee.
She's 11. She doesn't know anything. She's 11.
Oh, I get it. I'm just saying you should teach her to look this up. I have an employee who has been around for the past 20 years telling all of these people he'll put them in a Hucklebuckle. And then he went and he looked up because somebody looked at him all weird and was like, do you know what that means? And turns out he didn't know what it means. So he's been telling all these dudes he's going to put them in the Hucklebuckle. And when he finally found out what that meant,
He stopped saying it.
yeah, he has not said it one more time.
What is it?
It's sexual in nature.
Yeah.
I was kind of
Inappropriately.
assuming. I don't know. I was kind of
I'm going to
assuming.
have to look it up and Google it.
Yeah.
So there's a phrase in Spanish. So I'm half Puerto Rican, Guatemalan, right? And half Puerto Rican, half Guatemalan. That's what I am. And in Guatemala and in Puerto Rico, you can say the word coger, and that means like to take. But in Mexico, it's a sexual reference. And so I'm working at a parts store because I speak Spanish. I'm in a Hispanic community, and all these Mexicans are coming in, and I'm like, coge esto, coge eso, coge. And I'm just because that's the phrase, that's the word, that's the correct Spanish word. Also, grew up saying it. My family grew up saying it. It's not a big deal. And finally, somebody walked up to me and they're like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? You can't say coger." What? Why not? Because it means this. I'm like, "Holy crap! What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, it doesn't." Well, in Mexico it does. I'm like, "Well, I'm not Mexican. What do you want me to do?"
That's either why you got a lot of repeat customers, or they never came back. One or the other.
No, they did not like me saying it to them.
So my uncle worked for my dad, and at this period in his life, he was going through some addiction things, and he was a little out of it and spastic. And he kept going up to Andy, the Colombian that works for Dad, and he kept asking to use his hammer. And Andy had a problem with that. So Andy said, "No, go ask the other Mexican for this." And it was a male appendage. And so this dude walks around an entire job site asking everybody that question, like one after another. And all the Mexicans are just looking at him like, I'm good, man. Took him like 30 minutes, an hour.
I mean,
to
that's
figure it
fine
out.
if you don't know Spanish and somebody throws you a Spanish phrase that is, not what you think you're saying. You're walking around saying it and everybody's looking at you weird. But I speak it fluently and I'm using the correct word. It's just it got bastardized in Mexico. I don't know.
That was very racist.
I'm just saying that I should be able to say a perfectly normal, in the dictionary, Spanish word without them looking at me weird.
Well, it's like English words. I mean, probably one of our favorite words. I'm not going to say it. Has a lot of different meanings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
You can't be that vague.
No, you can say bad words.
You
That's
just
fine.
get you can say it. You can just
Fuck.
earmuffs, kids.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite word.
Yeah. Mine too. I use it a lot.
Has many different meanings.
Yeah. And
Good,
the way
bad,
you say
the
it.
way and how.
Yeah.
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 It's an adjective.
tiny-
A lot of I mean, when it's used in context, right? When my kids say, it, I'm like, I mean, that was used appropriately. Like, good job.
F-bombs?
Sometimes they'll,
They throw your 8-year-old is throwing F-bombs
Alex
around.
is like 5 or 6.
they've said it. They've said it. It's
He's from
they'll be
California.
like,
It's okay in California. Your 8-year-old doesn't drop F-bombs.
they'll be like, it's fucking hot out. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, it
you're
is.
not wrong here. Great context. Please don't say that again.
Thank you for using it correctly in the sentence, but how we don't say that word.
Oh, my God.
Do your kids walk around and say F-bombs?
It's not
No.
often, David.
No, listen, little dude, the other day, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and he's, I don't know what they've been watching on TV or what, but he clearly knows, like, he's able to detect when words should not be used in certain context. And, like, little dude comes up, sits down next to me at the
Like
table.
incorrect
the other day.
grammar or?
No, like, you shouldn't use profanity. Like, he,
Oh, yeah, my kids hear the potty words too when I'm blaring YouTube in the kitchen, and they're
Yeah.
like, that person has a
or
potty
when you're-
mouth.
or when you're talking about the Chiefs and the Patriots, right? Like, it's a little bit of a thing. Yeah.
Sore subject.
Like the Chiefs and the Bills, too. Yeah, I get it,
Yeah.
David. I feel you.
David loves the Chiefs.
They
David
got robbed.
lo-
They got robbed this year. Mm-hmm. They did. They got robbed.
Does it make you feel better about the Patriots?
No,
I went to
no.
the Super Bowl and sat on
I
the
saw
Chiefs
that.
side.
I saw that.
I had my Bills hat and
Did you
Bills shirt
really?
on in the middle of the Kansas City fans. But I was hoping for a good game, like a comeback. I still wanted them to lose, but I wanted a good game.
No.
But they were
No.
quiet.
Wait,
Yeah.
No, you don't want a good game.
No,
I want a complete
Yeah.
and total embarrassment. I want utter
what happened.
destruction. That's what I want. I want like the old school. Sorry, like back in the day when the Bills kept going to the Super Bowl over and over again, and they just kept getting blown out 56-0 or whatever. That's what I want to see every single time.
So wait, how do you think they got robbed in the Super Bowl?
No, not in the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
In the ALCS, and they got the first down when on that last drive. They got the
Bills.
first down on the third down. The Bills got the first
Bills.
round.
Yeah.
They should have gotten.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Bills Chiefs game.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
down.
Third
We
down.
actually got it on the first, or like twice in that down.
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
possession.
Third down,
Yep.
there was a first down there. They didn't call it. And then on the fourth down, he got a first down and they didn't call it.
I don't want like sounding like a poor sport and the refs, but like
No,
there-
the
when,
refs,
when there's
it was-
consistently
it- yeah,
calls
it was
like
bad.
that.
That was chocked full of bad calls.
In the Super Bowl, so the first play or the first drive, Chiefs threw it, or Eagles actually picked up the first down, and there was a flag, but for offensive pass interference.
Yeah.
And
Tom Brady
I'm
was like,
here we
I'm
like, here we go again. And you know what? All the Chiefs fans are like, haters gonna hate, and like they, got all cocky to start, but after that, not a peep from that side.
I bet it was silent.
There was a questionable call on the next drive, though, that went against the Chiefs. That was like,
kind of made up for it.
Yeah, it made up for it.
Yeah,
and you're
right,
like, okay, they're gonna call this clean.
Yeah.
And then
It was
what
a clean-
happened?
yeah.
When it was called cleanly, what happened? Exactly. Stupid.
I enjoy watching Patrick Mahomes squirm. Like I really enjoy.
Squirm? What do you mean?
I enjoy seeing him uncomfortable and unhappy. I just hate that dude. Like,
It's
there's
all the
something about
time,
his face.
dude. It's all the time.
It's a smirky little look on his
It's
Yeah.
anytime he loses, he throws a hissy fit. He doesn't lose that much, but when he does, it's a hissy fit.
I mean,
telling
look,
you.
that's probably why the refs,
I don't
keep
know.
siding with
No,
him.
it's because
don't want to hear him.
they need another golden boy.
No, I think it's a Taylor Swift thing.
You think?
Yeah, I think like she brought so much attention to football that
Yeah,
hasn't
that's
been there in
true.
years.
Yeah.
They need to like keep them in the game as long as they can.
They need to get Taylor Swift to hook up with an NBA player because the NBA is like not doing so well.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. It isn't.
it's down
doing
like
well.
50%
Yeah.
viewership right now. The NBA, it's
Yeah.
bad.
Women's sports could use a little boost too. So
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I watch Caitlin Clark games.
I'm
I'm a
guilty of.
fan.
I was a female athlete, but again, I don't even watch as much as I should female sports.
Okay, so this is
I'm
your
guilty
fault.
of- yeah.
I'm telling you.
she looks like
your
Caitlin
fault.
Clark a little bit, right? Like, we've talked about that plenty of times. And she's a basketball player. Like, I see the resemblance there.
Do you see the I don't see it. She's
I'll
got
find,
dark.
I'll find some pictures.
I don't see it at all.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I watch.
Yeah.
I typically don't watch women's sports. Sorry,
Yeah.
but I watch the Caitlin Clark games. Like I'll put on
Yeah.
the WNBA and just to watch her ball because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah. I think the coolest thing with her that I saw is my partner from 360, Steve.
Yeah.
We were at an all-inclusive in Cabo. We, of course, bring a beer pong inflatable raft.
Yeah.
And he's shooting and he goes, Caitlin. And I was like, that's so cool that, like, a dude is
for sure.
referencing a chick athlete. Like,
Yeah, well, because she's. I mean, she's like, yeah. I mean, like, there's tiers, right? And she's so much better than everybody else in that league. I don't know.
About miles.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, she could ball with the dudes. She could very easily. I mean, I'd throw her on her team and see how she did.
maybe that's how we get
She-
viewership up.
Wow, what do you mean?
Put Caitlin Clark on an NBA team.
Yeah. The problem though is like she's getting decked in the women's league, and she will get destroyed
Yeah.
when a 6'7", 240 like linebacker like it sets a pick and and she'll get hurt. But as far as like just straight shooting skills, she's so much better than everybody else. It's not even close.
I had the Uber driver last night believing Sam Freeman was a point guard.
Sam Freeman is a point guard. What are you talking
know.
about?
They're texting me all this stuff and they're saying she shoots threes. I'm like, point guards aren't really the 3-point shooters. And I'm like, this guy must not know anything about basketball because if he's believing the stuff that you're saying, like none of it's even accurate in the game of basketball.
He asked if we were in town for the women's basketball tournament. I don't know where apparently there's one happening in town right now.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, actually we are. And he's like, I was like, Sam plays. And then he's like, is she a point guard? I'm like, she sure is. And then he's like, does she shoot threes? And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
And then I was waiting so bad for him to be like, what team do you play for? And I was going to say the red one. And then he would guess, like, I don't know, Ohio State or something. And I'd be like, exactly. Like, yeah. Like, but he was
This
like,
is
all
the
right.
most Mike Allen comment I've ever heard.
Yeah. But we got to the hotel, and then I said, we need to get rest. She has a big game tomorrow. And I just felt.
I don't know what tournament's going on right now.
He said, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I
It's
trust him
probably
necessarily,
Big
but
12, maybe?
I have no idea. I don't watch basketball.
yeah.
You don't watch any
We're part
basketball?
of the
No.
problem.
See?
I am the problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm not just part
That's
of
why
it. I'm the whole
viewership
problem.
is down.
What do you watch, sport-wise?
A little bit of football, but rarely do I even do that. Like at this point, I just go home and go to bed. Act like the day didn't happen, right? What's new in the world of hiring, Mrs. Promotive?
Oh, we get better and better every month, but
Right.
different challenges. It's been an adventure.
I bet so. So, like last time we talked was like really early on in the promotive thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Joelle.
what's adjusted? What's happened? And what do you think the market looks like right now?
So from the beginning on our end, what's adjusted is that we have a database
Right.
now. So when we first started, we didn't buy, a company or have
Yeah.
a list of technicians or anything like that. So we're able to build relationships now. And when we sign up a shop, it's easier to go back to our database and
Right.
have a list of candidates we've talked to in the last 2 years. So
Right.
that's a lot different than when we first started. But
For sure.
From the industry standpoint of the conversations, I don't know if you agree or not. I think you will. I don't think the technician conversations have changed very
Yeah.
much. I think the challenges are still comparable, and we all have our work cut out to help the industry.
For sure. Yeah, it is. It's definitely, I've seen changes in the industry, right? And I think it's neat to watch because we pay attention to these things, right? Like we sit back and we're watching what's happening. The dealer world is changing a lot right now. And they're seeing a financial thing coming on the horizon, so they're backing out a little bit. And I talked to a principal a while back, and I've mentioned on the show before, is that he was saying, hey, what are these guys who are getting super huge wages trading for that super huge wage? They're trading their security. And he's like, the minute that something happens, they're the first ones to leave. Like, we're going to get rid of them. They don't have security in this organization. And so I think that we see those ebb and flows in those dealerships. Now, I will tell you this. I think there is a plague, and I'm going to upset technicians when I say this. I'm not saying anything bad about technicians. Don't get me wrong, but I do think there's a plague of technicians who are overselling themselves, and they're showing up to shops and they're saying, I know how to do this, and I can do this, and I can do that. And then you put them in the shop and they can't do it.
Yes. So just to kind of comment on that, since the beginning, this is something that hasn't changed is, we're advocating for candidates and for shop owners. We're kind of that middle man, middle woman,
For sure.
whatever, right? And oftentimes you have technicians that are overselling themselves. I could turn 50, 60 hours.
Yeah.
But then a lot of times too, you have shops that say you have enough car count and work for a tech to be able to turn that. So we're in the middle trying to distinguish, like, okay, is this tech really qualified and can do that? And is this shop really busy enough and have the right culture and the pay and training and things like that? So we've continued to enhance our questions that we're asking technicians, that we're vetting on the shop side, because it's important to make sure we're working with the right candidates and shops. But it continues to be a challenge to try and figure out, like, what's really the truth here.
Right. What is the issue? Is it the shop or is it the tech?
Yes.
Right.
And then even after a placement, maybe things are going good for a week, a month, and our goal is to try to get ahead of it if something's going south, and that's where our recruiters maintain the relationships and check in on technicians and account managers with shops. But it's that fine line, because you don't want to throw candidate under the bus if they're not happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because some shop owners, we've asked this question a lot, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a shop owner's dream to hear if I have an unhappy employee so I could get ahead of it. But then you have some shop owners that maybe aren't as level-headed and would just turn around and fire them. So it's kind of that middleman game that we're navigating through.
Well, but on top of that, though, like, there's this culture issue, right? Because the culture's got to be strong enough that we can bring them in, because I don't think we should expect them to come right in and turn a ton of hours, right? Like, it takes time to get acclimated. It takes time to, like, learn the workflow and learn how the shop works and that kind of thing. And there's the red flags. Like, you got to be watching for the red flags to know if they're going to fit or not. You can't keep them if they're not going to fit. And if they've always got an attitude problem or whatever it is, like, they need to go pretty quick. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I don't know. I think I look at it and I see that so many shops don't have a culture developed that says, hey, we'll work with you and get you there.
Yes.
And then on the other side, like, I'm guilty of this. I've held on to people that weren't working out, and I've tried to keep them too long and ended up hurting the rest of the business, right? And so, like, it's this balancing act of knowing where to go. And like, an independent shop, like you look at a dealer, the dealer doesn't care. Can you fix the car? Yes or no?
Yep.
Otherwise, I don't care, right? I don't care about your problems. I don't care the good things. I don't care about the bad things. I don't care about any of it. Fix the car. That's all you have to do. Go fix the car. They fix a lot easier things than the independent world does. I hate to tell you that. I'm going to get myself in trouble here. I'm going to hear complaints. I'm going to get hate mail sent to David's email. But like I know for a fact that the dealer techs aren't servicing and working on the complexity of things that the independent world does.
Or muscle memory makes models same consistency.
Exactly. And so they have a very different model there. And then those guys come into the independent world. And it is like, it's very, very different. Yep. And so they struggle to survive in the independent world in the same way, right? Yep. But I still think it comes back to culture. You know, I bragged on you a while back. Oh. I'm going to tell you that when so I went to that Velo thing in Tulsa, and that place has the most Lisa culture of anything I've ever seen.
Like they're all drunk the whole time, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that might have. I figured it out. That's what it was.
Is everybody was hammered? There you go.
Everybody's acting like Lisa.
Kidding.
Lisa, are you drunk? No, I mean, seriously.
What's in that cup right now?
Yeah. Is that vodka? Hey, the dude that tinted windows at my shop, his dad was an FBI agent. And he always talked about, he's like, my dad's an alcoholic. And he was an alcoholic too. But he's like, dude, my dad starts out drinking first thing in the morning. And one morning I said to him, I was like, dude, he's got a cup of water. He's like, go take a sip of it.
Oh, my God.
That's not water. That's vodka.
Moly.
Yeah.
Straight vodka.
Yeah.
There is no orange juice in that.
Was there at least ice in it?
No. Just a straight cup of vodka. Warm vodka at that. Ugh.
Pop-ups?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. But
It all tastes like burning. I don't know how people drink that stuff.
dude, that was awful. But how do you think that came to be? Like, seriously, I'm not joking. I'm not like just blowing smoke. I was mesmerized by that experience because like everybody there, you could tell was genuinely focused on like the end experience.
Yeah.
And nobody was like focused on how it impacted them directly. Like they had a different type of focus. But a lot of the people there, especially all of 360, had a very Lisa way of acting. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like certain companies within Velo, right? I mean, I haven't been exposed to all of it, but yeah, from 360 and all the other companies, for sure. I mean, they're all close, and I mean, it's communicating. I think it's working hard and playing hard is.
I think that's got to be what it is. But like, what do you? Because like, I'm telling you, like they all acted like you did. I don't know what's up with that.
I don't have a magic, like, here's exactly what I would go do. But from a leadership perspective, I think you have to care about your people, know when their birthdays are, remember their kids' names, incorporate the family as much as possible. Because if you have the family's buy-in on where they're working, then you're going to have their buy-in even more. But communication, accountability, showing the metrics, the data. Right. We're an open book. We always have been at 360, at Velo, and at Promotive. We show our financials, so we know how well the company's doing. And don't get me wrong, it comes with some flaws there too.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys are profiting millions of dollars now. Like, why can't I have an extra, $10,000 a year raise, right?
Right.
And there could become some of that resentment there. But as long as you have people marching towards a mission. It really does bring the team together. So we always had BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, right? And at 360, it was get to 300 accounts a month, right? When we got to that, we quote unquote made it 10,000 customers, march to $1 billion, our first $1 billion process. And we do similar things at Promotive. So you get the team behind, a 5 to 10 year big goal. And then you have to constantly reinforce it. It is on every one of our decks, every monthly update. The team should know it and be thinking about it in their sleep. And how do they contribute towards that? And then the little things too. We would bring. You went right. Yeah. Like we bring shop owners in because we want the team to know they're dealing with real people.
Right. It's not just a number.
Yeah. Like these people have families, and they have other people's families that they have to. Make sure are surviving and getting fed, and what we're doing is not a joke, right? Like we are literally impacting their lives as a shop management software, as a payments company, as a staffing company. We're changing their businesses, and you have to get them to realize that.
I think that's huge because like I'm seeing the opposite of this culture in a business right now. And it's really interesting because one of the things, and something that somebody said there that stands out to me, because we were actually talking about you, and they said, she always did what she told me she was going to do, right? You never promised anything to this person that you didn't do what you said you were going to do, right? And you never said anything outside of that box of like, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do. Yeah. And so they were talking about that, and they were saying like that was the biggest thing for them. And so I'm working in this other business where all these people have been told things, and then it never happens, and it never happens, and it never happens, and it drags on. And it's like, I'm going to give you this big raise. You're going to be a manager. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Yep. But then it never materializes. It's all just words, right?
Yep.
And so the person who was running that business before outlined this huge vision of all these things that were going to happen, and then nothing ever happened. And it was just like barking orders from up on high saying, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. And nobody could see like how everything connected and moved in a direction, right? Yeah. And so I think that that's one thing that I could say that especially shops need to be careful about doing is if you tell somebody you're going to do something, you have to do it. And that's hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you get a lot of people under you, you get busy, the shop's covered up, you've got things coming at you 100 miles an hour. How do you keep up with all that?
Yeah.
Right? Like what was your strategy? Because I mean, those people like genuinely believe you were like a saint or something.
And I'm not.
No, I've seen the pictures on Facebook, Lisa. We all know.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like I just take it personally that if I say I'm going to do something, or if I think somebody has leadership skills that could be developed in that, 2, 3, 5 years, they're going to be the leader of a department. Like you just have to stay on that path. Like you can't overpromise and underdeliver. Like it eats at me if our company isn't where it needs to be to get people to the roles that they want to be in and the income that they should be making at a certain part or time in their career. So I think the other thing too, I'm not afraid to do any job in the company, right? Like I've never like cleaned the toilets when we had offices during pre-COVID days and stuff, but like I will literally answer a customer service call. I will make sales calls. I will, in our world, call recruiting, like call the candidates that are applying. Like I will do any role. And I think that shows the team too. Like I'm a human, right? I put my pants on the same way that they do.
Lead by example.
Yeah, leading by example. And I don't know, it's always mind blowing to me if people think I'm intimidating because I think I'm like the biggest goofball out there. And I'm like, you're really like afraid of me? And they're like, well, intimidated. I'm like, that's kind of like being but they don't want to let me down. But what they don't really realize is I don't want to let them down. Like,
for sure.
Like one of my biggest fears outside of the obvious ones, especially as parents, right? Like, is letting other people down. Like your word is everything you have.
Right.
And, I always say it takes years to build your reputation and minutes to lose it.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that goes for your team. So
what if you were going to look at what you did with like 360 and Promotive, right? Because like really at the end of the day, one of the things that we need to be talking about is hiring and the mistakes shops are making when they go to hire, right? Because there's still a lot of shops who are frustrated and having a hard time. And I mean, I'm sure the podcast helps, but like when I put out an ad to get people, like I get a lot of people who reach out, and the hard part is culling through the people who have reached out and make sure that they're actually who they say they are and they're a good fit. But if you were going to take a shop and do what you've done with these organizations and build that culture, what would be the framework? What would be the basic, here's where I start to do that?
So you have to be intentional is the first thing, right? Like you can't just say you want a certain culture without having true intention behind it. And you have to literally do it every single day. We started with, when we first started, we were all just trying to survive and got people at 360 to believe that we're going to be this next big payment processing company. And we were bootstrapped. We didn't get any outside funding or anything. So we didn't have money to pay big bucks, but we built a compensation plan that aligned them with kind of being partners with us. But I'd say the pivotal point culture-wise was we did what's called mission, vision, and values.
Okay.
And we put the whole team, it wasn't like Steve and I came up with it, the whole team came up with the mission, and then the vision of like how we're going to get there, what's that look like, and then the values. And we didn't want to be boring and say like, oh, we're honest. Like, of course, everybody says they're honest. Like, so we made ours honest to a fault, right? Like problematically honest, where we're telling people don't sign up with us because you're going to end up paying more money. And then guess what? They end up wanting to sign up with us. They're like, oh my gosh, this company is like really honest with that. Yeah. And scrappy was one of our, like just do what you can without needing more resources. Cause that's something that shops, right? Like everybody, it's easy to throw bodies at the problem or buy more parts or whatever you're trying to do. But we need everybody on the team to be scrappy. And then we would take those values, for example, and then we had a tool. You guys use Slack? I think you guys.
I don't use Slack. No,
Some shops are using it, right? So we implemented a tool called Hey Taco into Slack.
I was a little blown away by the taco award.
Okay,
didn't know what to expect by that.
In here, right? So the tacos are, you could give a taco, you put the emoji in Slack, and then you call out a person on the team for doing something awesome, right? And usually you're hashtagging the value in there of what they did to that exuded that value. We used to let people have 5 a day, by the way, and it got really annoying. And the sales team would get really upset. They're like, this guy's getting a taco for tying his shoes today. And
everyone gets a taco.
So then they got 1 a day, that they could do. Yeah. But you have to just continually like talk about those values.
I've got to pause you right here because like my whole question out of that, and I could not find anybody that could answer this. It's like I'm sitting here thinking of like Google Chat, right? And I'm thinking, how in the hell would I keep up with all the tacos, right? Like we're talking about a year-long process. How did they track? Like,
I took Slack for 360 off my phone, but it's a app within the Slack, and then you can go to the website and it shows how many tacos each person has in whatever time period.
Okay, so it was app driven. Okay, I feel a lot better now. I thought somebody was counting this, and I was like, whoa.
What's cool, and we do it at Promotive too, different tool called 15-5, and you give high fives to people. It's not just who's getting the most, it's who's giving the most too. And usually the people who are giving the most tacos are your cheerleaders, your biggest fans. Like they're the raving fans of your brand. And who's giving the most, because that is almost, in my opinion, better than who's getting the most. Because they're, doing what you should be doing as the leader of a company, but you don't want to give I don't want to give tacos every day. I can tell you that.
I think something else that Lisa said, like when you were talking about the Velo and 360 culture, and tying it back to shops. So one thing that I think there's a big opportunity, with shops and cultures and technicians and owners is, you said, sharing the data, right? Yeah. And data means something different in every business, but there's still metrics and data. So I think the biggest hurdle, and some shops do a really good job in technicians, but the opportunity is, again, if there's a comp plan or hybrid or flat rate, that's one example of communicating and making sure your people understand how they're making money and what that means to them, what that means to the business. Sure. Sharing those numbers or reports from your shop management software and just truly getting the buy-in on the business. Yeah. And again, the perception's reality is my favorite line where, owner buys a new vehicle, they're doing great, but I can't make anymore. But if they truly understood how the numbers work,
for sure,
I think that would be, a big win for both tech and owner.
The number of owners who are financing new vehicles, and they're only financing it because they have a great income based on tax purposes, David. But and I think you're right. In the other business we keep talking about, there was this concept that nobody was making as much money as they should make, right? And I'm just going to shut my mouth about that part. I think it's more than fair in a lot of ways, but either way, so I went and I laid out, and we didn't have financials to give these people, but I laid out like, hey, here's what the numbers look like based on what we know. Now, a year and a half ago, for the year, payroll was 80% of the gross income. 80% of the gross income, right? Yeah. And so we went to him, and I'm like, hey, I just want you to understand, like, nobody's making bank here. Nobody's taking a huge paycheck. Nobody's like getting anything like massive out of this deal. I'm not saying we don't want to pay you guys more. We don't want to provide you more opportunity, but like you need to understand what the numbers look like.
Yep.
And so they're like, well, you know, what is payroll now? And I'm like, well, it's at 20% because we fired 3 people. Right. That kind of painted a picture at that point.
And it's not just the salary, too. It's the understanding, because everyone just looks at that hard number, but it's, okay, maybe you buy boots for them or uniforms or if there's health benefits. And it's truly like there's a dollar value to all of that, but that gets lost. It gets fallen by the wayside.
For sure.
I added up at the end of the year and presented to them.
Well, but even bigger than that, though. And those are important things, don't get me wrong, but even bigger than that is that we don't realize that our business has resources that we're used to that they don't have and they don't understand. And so we can take our business and give them those resources because it costs our business a lot less to provide that. And, you know, like some of the things we were talking about in that business, we were talking about training and trying to do things for them. And it's like, compared to replacing them, compared to having to go out and find somebody new and do all these things, you think that $300 of training is that big of a deal? Like, no. And it was things for them that, like, their personal needs. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I'm interested in expanding this part of my life. Great. Like, how can we help you do that? Because we have these resources, right?
Exactly.
And I think that we've got ourselves into this nook where we say, I have to get something in return for this. And I think there's something special about saying, I don't expect anything. I'm not looking for you to do something for me giving you this. And I think that's a mindset that if you have the opposite mindset of that and you're in a business, that's detrimental to culture no matter how you shake it, right? I just think that's a bad news bears.
Totally agree. I think on the shop side versus what we're doing, Promotive and what we did at 360, and talking to technicians, because I talked to them too. I think this week I did 10, we call them pre-screens, their interviews. How do you guys have a true career growth for techs? We'll pick on techs, we don't have to pick on service advisors. If your aspirations aren't to grow past 1 to 5 locations, there's really only so far they could go under your umbrella or your leadership from a growth by new jobs perspective. And an example, we talked to techs that are like, I want to be a foreman in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm getting older, and the guy that's the foreman now, he's not retiring anytime soon, and he's amazing, and he and the owner get along great. So we get people coming who are applying because they feel like they've hit that glass ceiling.
Right.
So how do you guys, or what's your
advice? We just had a whole conversation about this on
the Parts Tech survey video.
On the Parts Tech survey video. We absolutely, well, I'll speak for myself. I absolutely hate that entire concept. And had I been talking to that person, I would have spent probably 30 minutes just yelling at him. Probably. So don't put me on those interviews. Yeah. It won't work out well for you.
No, we want to get better. We want
the Puerto Rican in you.
Yes, I don't know. He's got a really interesting perspective on it, though.
Yeah.
I do? Mm-hmm. Is it that interesting?
It is.
I think it's common sense.
It is.
Like you don't have anywhere to go. Like I'm going to have one shop. I'll blow my brains out before I get a second shop. It is awful. It is the worst thing in the world. And so why would I want to, like, I get that you're like, there's nowhere for you to go. I don't have a shop foreman. I don't. So what are you going to do? Well, there's no reason why you can't continue to grow in your craft and find other opportunities. And for example, I've got a technician who he's interested in like coding and module repair and going into the actual programming, the software side of it, and looking at all of the information, like all the way from where it gets programmed at the factory, and being able to tinker with that. Okay, so let's go down that path. You're interested in that. Let's grow that skill.
Yeah.
So I hooked them up with another company. They're here. They just came by my shop, by the way. Yeah. And that's all they do. Okay, so I talked to them and I said, hey, why don't you guys expand the business into Kansas City? They're out of Utah. Why don't you expand the business into Kansas City and just use my tech? I'll give them 3, 4, 5 hours a week to go out and program cars and mess with some diag, things that we wouldn't mess with in our shop, or just different things that we're not seeing. Because, I do 100 to 120 cars a month.
Yeah.
There's only so many opportunities to diagnose. So that's what he does now. He goes out and 2-3 times a week, maybe he'll take a long lunch and he goes and messes with some car at some other shop. I don't worry about it that they're going to poach him or anything like that, right? But it keeps him engaged, interested. He's expanding his skill set. It's something else that he can do, and he's making some side money on it.
Yeah.
So, like, we set him up with an LLC. Hey, you're now a 1099 contract. The only thing he's upset
That's
about
awesome.
is like, I've got to file taxes as a business owner. It's like, yeah. And you got to keep track of your expenses. And here's this app, and you got to take a picture of your miles and all that stuff there. He's like, I don't want to be an adult. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, sorry.
That's really cool, though. I mean, again, like I think the way you said, again, like you can still grow your skill, right? I mean, it's not. And some people have different drivers on title or money and things like that.
Well, I think that's the default.
Yes.
That's the default. Everybody goes, well, I'm a service advisor, or I have to be now a service manager, or I have to then be. No, you don't. You don't.
Yep.
And I brought up Matt Fanslow. You guys familiar?
Yep.
Okay, so like he does like 7 different things. He's a technician in a shop. He does programming on the side. He does training. He has a podcast. How is that not career growth?
Yeah.
But he's still in the same position at his shop. How that shop has afforded him, and the work that he's done within that shop has afforded him the opportunity to do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's marketed himself well, and he's decided, hey, I'm going to go pursue these other opportunities, and the shop gives him that space.
Yep.
So what shop wouldn't want to do that for and retain the employee?
Yeah.
Versus, I've got to give you this new title and more money.
Well, that was something that I noticed. My new manager, he wanted to start giving titles, assistant this manager and assistant that manager. And he's like, well, I just didn't know any other way to do it because that's what we do in the dealership, right? Like they just keep throwing new titles at people. And so one of the things that I've learned to ask is like, hey, what's your desired outcome? Because like we talk to a lot of technicians and owners, right? Like I've probably got over 1,000 messages I can show you right now in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I talk to a lot of people. And I'm always asking them, like, they say, hey, I've got this problem, or hey, this is going on, or hey, I want to grow and I want to do this and I want to do that. And one of the things that stands out to me about my time when Rick White was coaching me is like when we were talking about my dream and my vision and my destination, like, dude, he just kept on. I was so upset with him because he kept coming back and he's like, no, that's not it. That's not enough. And I'm like, dude, you're asking me like what I want, and I'm telling you. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I can tell this is not all of it. Like, I can tell this isn't everything. And so the way I learned to ask that question is like, hey, where are you trying to go? Mm-hmm. Like, what is it you're trying to accomplish? What's your destination? We were sitting at dinner last night, and the shop owner's there, and he's like, well, what I want is not to have to be at the shop. And I want to be able to go to India because I run this missionary service and we go over there and we help these kids and we help these families. And I want to be able to do that. I'm like, okay, well, how much money does it cost to do that? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you're telling me that you need a service advisor and you need more techs and you need a bigger shop and you need all these things.
What's his name?
Like Andrew Perry, right? No, Andrew Perry's his name. He's okay with me talking about it. And so if that is it, right? Like we have to break that down into steps and look and see how do we get there, right? We have to put stair steps in place because we don't just go and just say, okay, I'm at A now and I want to go to B.
Yep.
No, you have to have a pathway to get there.
Yep.
And so if we don't go to those technicians and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, and you say you want to be a foreman, help me understand what you're trying to accomplish, because that might not be the right path for you. And we probably need to talk to your current employer, even though, I mean, like, that creates a conflict of interest for you in some ways, but like,
well, for you guys, you can just find them another shop. But one of my technicians who comes to me, I want to be a shop foreman. I don't think any of my technicians would ever say that because I would go off on them, start yelling at them.
You just see a little beanie with a little fluff on top of it, shaking around the shop as it yelled.
But if they do come now, that's a legit concern. I'm getting older, and I don't want to crawl up underneath dashboards again. It's like, okay, well, great. Then maybe we move you into a mentorship role. Maybe we move you into more diagnostic work. So where's your skill set there, right? Doesn't make any sense for you to be the brakes and suspension guy for 25 years and now you just want to do the diag because it hurts too much to lift up that big tire. This doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you doing to get to this end destination? What have you been doing? You've declined all the training that I've sent you to. Like, you don't want to go.
You didn't want to do the 401k. You didn't want to do
there's all this stuff that you've just been saying no to. Now there's a problem. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, but I mean,
So-
like that's our job to coach them and get them to that point, though, right? Like it's our, and if they don't want to do that, then at some point we've got to say, hey, listen.
When they're babies, though, they don't know.
You have to put the time. You have to try different approaches. You coach people differently. You talk to people
I just
differently.
yell louder.
But at some point, you draw the line to say, okay, I've given everything I could, different approaches, and now you're just banging your head against the wall, right? I mean, there comes a time, but
you
you
leave
got
him
to.
alone. Like I've got a tech who doesn't care about it. Like he wants to buy car parts. That's all he wants to do.
You can't care more about it than them. Like they have to care and want it.
For sure.
I think is the.
And I yell at him every day about it. He
yell
spends
at everybody
so much
every
money.
day on every.
He spends so much money. He's probably dropping $10,000 to $15,000 a year on stupid parts for his car. He takes them off, puts new ones on, sells them. Takes them off, puts new ones on, sells them, over and over and over and over. I don't get it.
It becomes your problem eventually because he has.
It's
no
going to
money,
become my problem.
and then he's going to want more money to go.
For me, it's a perspective thing, and I'll never forget George that works for me years ago. When George worked for me the first time, he had in his head he kept buying these cars, and he was going to flip these cars. And from the outside looking in, I'm like, bro, you are not making any money. Like you just sold that car because you got frustrated with it and you sold it for less than what you paid for it after you spent 2 days working on it and bought all these parts for it. Like that doesn't work out. It doesn't make sense. But in the moment, they get so excited about something, they can't see the whole picture and they won't. And so it's our job to help them see that. But sometimes they have no interest in seeing it, right? Sometimes they're arrogant and they know everything and like they're convinced that there's a reason you wouldn't tell them the truth and trying to hold them back. And that comes back to culture though. Right? If you've got an organization that they wouldn't believe that you're looking out for their best interest and trying to do what's best for them, and then on the other side of that's just the I don't know what you call it, just the absolutely compulsive behavior that would make you just go and do silly, stupid things. What's on your eyelashes?
Mascara. No, I think though, like what the story you're referencing needs to be shared. Oh, I think he likes you.
I saw that
too. The story you're talking about needs to be shared, right? Like not just from you to
The tech that keeps buying parts?
No, the one about the guy that you made the LLC and all the things.
Where's my camera?
Right? Like people don't know what they don't know. If I was just putting my technician hat on that is looking to get another job because they, think they're hitting that glass ceiling, I wouldn't even feel comfortable more than likely talking to my owner about, hey, like what other things do you mind if I do on the side to grow my career?
Well, I probably wouldn't approach it that way, but you need to ask and say, hey, what else can I do?
Agreed.
Because I'm getting bored.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
that's all you got to say. It's like no shop owner. There's a few insane ones. We talk to them all the time. They're just completely delusional. But I would say 60% of them don't want to lose their techs. And so they're like, yeah, I don't want you bored. Let's figure something out. That's it.
Yeah. And that, but there again, right? We come right back to the culture conversation. Is it a safe place to be able to go and say that, right? Like, is it okay to go talk to my owner?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I noticed when we hired this new manager, people weren't talking to him. No. And I'm like, dude, they're saying this. And he's like, what? They're telling me that's not true, that they wouldn't say that. Yep. And I'm like, what? And so I go talk to him. They're like, yeah, but he's from the dealership, man. You don't understand what happens in the dealership. You go say something like that, they get mad at you and they'll start getting like behind the scenes. They'll maneuver against you.
Yeah, but you're not talking to the owner of the dealership. You're talking to the service manager, or you're going to the general manager.
Right. Well,
like there's
but
levels
I'm saying that's
there.
a culture, right? That is the status of that organization. Everybody knows that's how they operate.
Yeah.
Right. And so it just makes me think: is it Kevon?
Kevin.
That has the YouTube channel?
I mean, is it
The 360 payments guy.
Oh, Kevin is the Velo shop management software
No. He's one of the customer service reps for 360.
YouTube channel?
Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel about his family. You know who I'm talking about?
Kevinaugh.
Yeah.
I was like, Kev. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so like...
He put my house on there one time. My
Really?
wife wasn't happy about that. She's like, our house is on like MTV Cribs, basically. I'm like, it's the Habs YouTube channel. Like, yeah.
But so like one of the things he said to me when we were out there is he said that he felt okay coming and talking about those things to leadership and saying like, hey, I want to expand. And he said one of the things that stood out to him was like if he didn't have the opportunity to have that open conversation, he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Right. And so then he would have just sat and felt like frustrated and upset, like he couldn't grow and he couldn't get anywhere. But he felt comfortable and safe having that conversation because like he knew and liked the people he worked with.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's huge.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just the relationship you have with them.
Yeah.
They see how you handle other employee situations. So especially exits, right? So when someone's quitting or getting terminated for whatever reason, they all still, you have to assume they're all still talking.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
How you are as a leader in those moments is how your current team is going to feel they can approach you on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's one area that we miss it on in the automotive space quite often is I don't think that there's a lot of shops that conversation can be had as freely as we think it can.
What? Which one?
There's lots of them. I have been guilty of that in the past, right? Like I've been guilty. Like I'm ornery. I'm grouchy. You catch me on like first thing in the morning. You don't talk to me first thing in the morning. I'm super grouchy first thing in the morning. If I've not had my caffeine yet, it's terrible. But like there's a side of me that still has that little bit of arrogance. Like this is my shop. I want it ran like I want it ran. And here's how we're going to do it. And when things go wrong, right? Because that's where the truth comes out. Is like when a client's upset because of something that you did or something that someone did, and it really, like, you care about that shop, it's your reputation, everything about you, you've put your whole life's work into it, and something goes really terribly wrong. Well, how you respond to that really shows your true colors because that's when it's all on the line, right? And so I'm bad to be more aggressive or be more frustrated with them than I should be.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they know they can come talk to me, but I know a lot of shop owners who take that way over the top, and it's like not a safe place for somebody to come say, hey, dude, right? We were in Leadership Intensive in San Diego, and one of the shops there said that I thought was really cool is they said they had a phrase in the shop that meant, I need to talk to you about something, but I need you to listen to me, and I need you to like hear me out, and I don't want you to get upset. I just want you to think about this, and then we'll talk about it later. And it was permission to coach, right? And it didn't matter if it was the owner or who it was. If somebody had a problem, it was, hey, I need you to hear me. I'm not asking you to respond right now. I'm asking you to hear what I have to say and think about it, right? And so it was something that kind of like turned that emotion off for a second and gave them a second to pause and say, okay, hold up, let's just think about this. It doesn't mean anything. Let's just stop for a second, right? And so it made a huge impact on that shop because they had some tense relationships. And then when they started saying that, some of that tension went away. I thought that was a really cool way of like creating a safe place to have those conversations. In David's shop, there is no safe anything.
We communicate. It's passive aggressive sarcasm, but that's how we communicate. We make snide remarks, and it's like,
I was
there's
thinking
a little
more
truth
of
in that. Oh, we should think about this. That's what we do.
I call it the 24-hour rule. Maybe you need that one. I don't know.
What's that?
Well, if you get upset about something and like, just wait 24 hours before you reply, whether it's an email, a text, or, if there's any emotion, I just call it the 24-hour rule because a lot of times 24 hours later, you're not nearly as emotional.
Yeah.
I do that with customers. I don't think I've ever been that mad. I've been that mad a few times, but they need to go away.
Yeah.
Usually, like, by the time I get mad at an employee, it's because, like, it's been building up, and I'm, like, to the point where I'm done with this employee. Yeah. And then they do something that sets me off, and I'm like, well, it's time. But, like, my current staff, do they screw up or they do something wrong or it's whatever. You just gotta go.
I think, too, with obviously building a culture, right? I mean, it's challenging, whether you're remote, whether you're in a shop, whatever the case may be. So by doing all the things that we just talked about, right? I mean, those are ways to help get it going or improve it. But there's also that fine line and balance, whether you're an owner or a leader or manager, whatever your role is, it's a fine line of being a friend, and having fun, but also still having that respect. And all those things we just talked about helps establish that respect. And then if you have a fun culture, if that's part of, your values and whatnot, but again, it's a hard thing because you want to be likable and you want everybody to get along. But when it comes time permission to coach or when it's time for feedback or it's time for whatever, like, ears turn on and there's that respect level too, which isn't an easy thing. So I just think that's...
Yeah, I mean, you can still provide feedback, but, it's at the same time, it's like, hey, could you not do that? Yeah, sorry about that. I mean,
yeah, because you've done things to establish, you know what I mean? Everything that you've done to lead up to that and you've built that rapport and that culture, it's like, okay, David said this, I know he means it, and then you go back to laughing or whatever the case may be.
Right. We as owners tend to look at technicians like we expect them to care like the owner would, right? And so we go to them and we expect them to have our level of aptitude and our level of understanding and hey, you don't understand how important this is and how big of a deal this is, right? And we expect that of them. And I think to a degree, a lot of the people who meet the criteria for these shop owners who expect that high level performance, guess what? All of those candidates are shop owners, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because if you have all of those skills and you have all of those abilities, they're already running a shop. Yep. There's no reason for them to work for you. Yep. And there's some that don't want that. But, we had somebody that moved on a while back and it was constantly something. And it was like, it was late and then we would correct that and then it would work back in slowly. And then it was quality of work issues and it was speed of work issues. And it was all of these things. And the reality is there's a lot in the talent pool that are not interested in performing at that level. Sure. And sooner or later, they come in and they're great initially, but they slowly become toxic because they're the toxic person, right? They are the toxic aspect of that. And slowly but surely, they end up in this spot. And you are always the problem, right? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of technicians like that, right? And I'm not saying anything bad about technicians, but I'm saying like a lot of them, they're tired, they're beat down, their bodies are worn out, and they have backed themselves into a corner that they don't have anything, they don't have any way out. And so they're a little bitter about it, right? And they're not exactly people that you want to work with, right? If you're going to work, like, as an owner, I want people that are enjoyable to work around. I don't want miserable people. Like, I couldn't imagine working with David. That would be awful.
And that's the thing we hear all the time, right? You've got that rock star tech or master technician, and again, they produce, there's quality, but toxic to the culture. And I mean, you guys could probably list off 100 shops that you've heard this,
For sure.
And it's hard. What do you do? Because they're producing and they're great, but everyone else is unhappy, or it's not fun to show up to work every day.
It all unravels if you leave it.
Yeah.
It all unravels. Yep. I had a call a while back with a service manager in a very big dealership, and he pointed out that the ownership would not allow him to fire this one particular technician. He said, this dude is as toxic as it gets. He said, this is one of the highest certified technicians for this brand in the entire country. And he's doing oil changes and brakes because he doesn't want to do anything else. And he like commands this huge wage, turns no hours, and makes it miserable to work in the shop. And like he said, we go through apprentices for this guy like nobody's business. He demands 3 apprentices, and they're the ones doing all the work. And he screams and yells at them all day. But they said, well, we can't find somebody else that's qualified to his level, so they won't let him go. And I'm like, you just need to leave, man. Like, this doesn't get better. This is awful. And he was getting ready to, he had gone to somebody else and he said, I'm going to go to the ownership. And he said, I'm going to tell him I'm going to offer this guy who does have the credentials $250,000 a year, because just getting rid of this guy will make us far more than that. It'll be worth $250,000 a year. And I'm like, holy cow. But I mean, like, I was listening to this guy talking. I'm thinking, holy man, I hear that from a lot of shops though. He's like, they've got a really extremely toxic person. Sometimes it's the shop owner. I wasn't looking at you, David.
I was doing a round table with a bunch of shop owners at one of the coaching groups' annual events. Yeah. And one thing that I thought was really interesting, and I've, of course, been guilty of this feeling too, is that the toxic people are kept around so long because they're afraid that they're going to go out there and either start their own company, right? Their own shop, go work at a competitor and try to poach some of the customers, but the other employees, right? So this is where I say, like, the absentee owners, the guy you're talking about that wants to go to India and do all the great stuff for the world, like, who do those employees have their relationship with and who are they loyal to? And that's a key of culture as well. Now, there's employees that work for 360 today, for example, that I have no clue who they are. And
for sure.
We just hired somebody that I've never even met for Promotive, right?
Yeah.
You don't want everybody to have that loyalty to you.
For sure.
But you still have to have that trust that they're not going to just go out and screw you. And if shop owners are worried about that someone's going to leave and take their whole team, like that's a whole different problem too in culture.
I agree.
Like you should not keep people out of fear.
I don't disagree with that at all. But there's also, because you brought up the absentee owner, right? Mm-hmm. There's also a level, like you're a type of human being who like needs this big new problem to conquer, right? Like you like these big projects and you like big things, right? When you look at some of these shop owners, they don't want to get to that point.
Yeah.
They're not interested in growing past this size of a shop that they feel like they can manage and everybody can report to them. Now that sounds miserable, right? In a lot of ways. And I never thought that way. But as we moved into the 10 bays and I realized how much work it was to keep everything moving, all of a sudden that's like, oh shit, this is more than I wanted to do. You know, but like there's a lot of shop owners who just want to maintain that small level. And the problem with that is there's no exit strategy, right? Like I don't know how many shop owners you talk to, but I've talked to a lot lately who are saying, I don't really have anything and I don't have any money and I don't have any retirement. And I got this shop here, and I don't know what to do now, right?
Like my dad.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, like, how do you – I think that's the big thing that shop owners need to consider right now is, like, if you're not going to build a staff that can run the shop without you, then at that point you no longer have a business, you have a job.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't walk away from it. Mm-hmm. Even if you go take a week vacation. The number of shop owners we talk to that say, I can't take a week vacation because this place will fall apart. Yeah. That is a miserable life to live. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, I got to shut it down if I'm going to leave. David, have you been to work this year?
I go to work every day for a few hours.
Which shop?
And his culture's been better than ever since he's been gone.
No, right? Which shop do you work at? Do you go to the studio shop where there is nobody? Is that the one you're working?
That's where I spend most of the night. Yeah. It's fine. I can answer the phone. It's good. I can build estimates. Nobody bothers me. It's good.
Yeah, because you're locked in an office where there is nothing. It's like a dungeon. It's like pool rooms.
It's no heat.
Huh?
So if it's really cold, there's no heat. They turned the gas back on, but I didn't get it like hooked up. There was a problem with like one of my things with the furnace or something. I never got it fixed. Anyway, if it's really cold, I go home.
Guys, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fun.
It's fun.